I just realized I updated the thumbnail to say Saturday, but I didn't update the intro to say Saturday. It is Saturday. So this is the Saturday Night Mouse Party. I'm Dan Foss, and tonight we've got DJ Play Nice. How are you doing, DJ?
I'm doing well. Glad to be here.
And G-Webs with his bowl of cherries.
I brought a bowl of cherries.
Did you bring enough for everyone?
I brought enough to last us through the bracket, I hope.
Oh, no. See, I sent the bracket out to Crazy Eddie's House of Bracketeering to have a bracket loaded, and they loaded the wrong bracket. I wanted Best Martial Arts Movie, and they loaded Best Martin Short Movies. And since there is no Best Martin Short Movies,
that would implode, I understand. Yeah, that's not logically capable of happening.
So it'll take 6 to 8 weeks for them to fix it with overseas shipping and all that. So let me get the comments up. See who was out there. Gun Websites was first. Gunpowder Beauty. Good evening. 2 Live Moo. And that bearded guy. And Sergeant Joe Smith. And Sergeant Joe Smith, I sent your stuff out yesterday. So you should get it Tuesday-ish. He won the last week's giveaway. So I did get that out in the mail finally. So let me call up this week's bracket. Not bracket. I got bracket on the brain. Screen. This week's poll was best juice: apple juice, orange juice, grape juice, pineapple juice, or liquor juices for kids. And orange juice won with 35%. Apple juice, 22%. Liquor tied with 22%. Grape at 18% and pineapple at 3%. What's your guys' favorite juice? I know we'll see later that DJ hates it. Oh, I won't say hate. Dislikes OJ.
Yeah, I voted for pineapple. I think it was the only one. Lots of great benefits to pineapple.
I do like pineapple. But that's probably because I enjoy pineapple, the fruit. So I like the juice also. G-Webs, you?
Pineapples are fake. There's no apples grown on a pine tree. So that was some kind of a hybrid genetic thing I don't trust. I voted for apple or orange, I guess, but I don't like juice, so I wouldn't have drinking any of these.
My favorite is probably apple, but I do like orange also. My favorite is the Simply line of juices: Simply Orange, Simply Apple. I think they have the best flavor, especially with the orange juice. A lot of orange juices will have a little aftertaste in them, and the Simply Orange doesn't have that. And the apple juice tastes like you just squeezed an apple into your glass. Best juice I ever had was I made myself. I bought a juicer years and years and years ago, and I made, a small glass of juice, kind of the size you get at a restaurant size of juice. And I don't, it was all kinds of berries and stuff, and it was really good. And then I realized that was a $12 glass of juice that I just made. And then it's like none of the parts in the juicer would dishwasher safe, and there's a screen in there that gets all the pulp over it. So I pretty much never used it again just because it was such a pain to clean it. And I sold it at a yard sale, and that's what somebody said. Goes, oh yeah, you didn't like cleaning that, did you? I said, no. So I'll take a quick look at the comments there. So Caucasian Sasquatch said, cran apple, grape apple, pear, pomegranate is amazing. Pineapple and lemonade is unbelievable. I've never tried that.
Interesting. I've never had that.
Chris Lang said grape juice after adding 1 cup of sugar in yeast packet, letting it sit for about a month.
You know what that is?
Yeah. Colostomy Beck said grape and apple together is great. X Adam 1 said Beetlejuice. The goddamn bacon said, if me wondering why all the votes for juice weren't for liquor is wrong, I don't want to be right. G Webb said coffee bean juice. He likes Java juice. Guns Barbecue said light pulp. Guessing he picked orange juice. I like heavy pulp. I like extra chunky orange juice, the kind you have to chew.
Do they make any other kind of juice with pulp in it?
Nothing I can think of that comes in different kinds of pulp.
I could think of like pineapple juice with pulp would be all right. I mean, I've had juices that somebody made out of a juicer in front of you, and they'll have pulp, and then apple pulp ain't bad. Like I don't really mind it. I don't want a ton of it or nothing.
Like grapefruit juice can have pulp in it sometimes.
Yeah, but that's essentially orange juice. They're fake.
Yeah,
they're copying off each other.
DJ Play Nice said never liked Simpson that much myself. And Sergeant Joe Smith said juice has too much sugar.
Yep, that's what I think. I'll take any juice if you take that restaurant size cup you're talking about and put it in like a giant glass so that it's diluted a lot.
You can get the lower sugar juice, but basically they just water it down. That's how they make it.
Yeah, you're just paying for less juice, right? And then what do you think about those bottles where there's like a section at the top where you take some kind of stuff like a fruit and you smush it or something and put it in there, and then you're drinking water past it kind of thing, like it's infused into it, and then I guess you just eat it when you're all done?
I've never seen those.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've seen that a few times now. I think it'd be neat. It just seems like you're saying with the cleaning, like I ain't doing all that cleaning. If I had a maid or something, I'd demand fruit water, but I'm not making it.
Like I said, it was probably the best glass of juice I've ever had, but it was, once I figured out how much I spent on fruit, it was really expensive and a pain in the ass process. But
what's your thoughts on like super green juice or wheatgrass juice or some kind of a chlorophyll juice type of shot of gross type of juice?
I've never tried them, have never wanted to try them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Kind of depends on what the additive is. Like I'm not into like all the like powdery whatever kind of blends, but yeah, I've been to a couple of hippie restaurants and had carrot juice with like regular grass in it as well. And sometimes the flavors are just kind of unsurprising. Go ahead.
It's like a vitamin shot. Like you feel better. It's not like you're instantly healthy, but it's like getting, I don't know, imagine like an injection of something or eating a really good handful of vitamins or something. Like you can feel good from it. Boost, so to speak.
Ron Wayne is out there. He likes 110 juice. Keep the lights on. That little tingle will wake you up in the morning. That little buzz you get in the joints. The bearded guy said pineapple juice pizza flavor is good. Sergeant Joe Smith was asking, is Snapple still around? I don't know. I haven't really seen Snapple around.
It couldn't be still around. That stuff was made from the best stuff on earth, and they have to run out of that by now, right?
Yeah. I was not a huge Snapple. Snapple was okay. I never thought it was great.
According to the internet, they still exist.
They probably only make tea now. Like, I don't get that. Like the whole iced tea in a can or glass bottle, or you buy that stuff at the store, any store. That weirds me out.
Consistency. People get familiar with it and they want it the same thing all the time. That's the only thing I can think of.
Two Live Moose said my orange juice has vodka aftertaste. I prefer Greyhounds over Screwdrivers. That's grapefruit juice and vodka. That's what I used to drink if I went out drinking.
What'd you call it?
Greyhound.
Oh, really? We called it a salty dog. Or is that different?
It might be the same. Cause there'll be different names for the same drink regionally.
Yeah, regionally.
But salty dog is if you salt the rim like you would a margarita. Otherwise, it's Greyhound.
Oh. Because I would usually kind of get the same drinks. I'd start with a Greyhound and get Amaretto Sour and maybe a Woo Woo, which is kind of like a Sex on the Beach, but without the orange juice. And then just kind of go from there if I wanted to try other stuff. Bearded guy said, yeah, they have Snapple around their local grocery stores. I haven't looked for it, so I don't know if it's in the stores around here.
It looks like they got sued because they had high fructose corn syrup in their drinks and they acted like they were healthy. So in 2009, they got sued. And then in 2010, sued first by California, then by New Jersey, and then by New York. Isn't that nice of the states to sue them for having high fructose corn syrup in their drinks? Because they're the only drinks with high fructose corn syrup in them. So obviously they did something to offend California, New Jersey, and New York. So for 3 years, they got subsequent lawsuits in each of those states because of their. They're calling fructose corn syrup or whatever all natural.
Bearded guy said, I never understood the appeal of fruit or mixed liquor drinks. Well, it kind of came out of the Prohibition era where the liquor was so god awful you had to mix it with something, otherwise people couldn't drink it. And then people liked the fruity flavors, and it kind of went on from there.
Well, I don't know. I'm thinking about cherry is a pretty common garnish for a liquor drink, like an old fashioned or something like that. And martinis would probably be a little bit more naked without having an olive, and that's fruit too, right? There might be some exceptions.
I don't think I've ever had a martini.
What?
Yeah. Just never tried one.
It's never too late, man.
When I was a little kid, my grandparents had like a full bar in the basement and they'd have parties and stuff. And then I'd be like the bartender for a while. So I think I've made a shit ton of drinks. I don't know if I drank all of them or not.
I have a big thick book on drinks, on how to mix different drinks, but that was kind of right about the time I quit drinking. So
Do you ever know anybody that had a bar like in their house, or go to a friend's house that has a bar?
No, not a formal bar, just like liquor bottles on the counter or on the up on the.
Well, I mean, that's the same thing. Essentially, people that are into drinking, and then that's where I don't know. I mean, I must have looked through a million different books or whatever, but it would be, Christmas or family picnic or some kind of company event or whatever it was, and then after a couple of drinks, it's like, what do you got to do as a kid? If you're playing bartender, at least then the drunk people try to stump you, and then you go find a new, find one in a book somewhere, and you try to make it, and then they judge it. I mean, there was a lot of playing around with drinks, so that's where I guess I got experience with drinks and stuff. Maybe I finished a few of them, but I never really was pouring them or nothing. We could do just a favorite fruit instead of juice.
Ooh,
Too close to a bracket.
favorite fruit would I don't know if I had to eat it every day, it would be apples.
I guess you could live off apples at least.
But I like apples, oranges. I really like good pineapple, and I love watermelon. I'll get a watermelon. You cut it up, put it in the fridge, and then every time I walk by the fridge, I'll eat a little bit of watermelon. And I try not to do it because then I'll end up eating the whole watermelon. But I really like watermelon.
Yeah, Moo's out there saying can't drink grapefruit juice with statins, and that's the bane of my favorite fruit existence. Grapefruit, can't have it, heart medication. Nah, really unhappy about that.
What does it do to you?
Yeah, I'm not sure what it does, except everybody says don't. It's one of those few things that I actually pay attention to when my doctor reminds me. I'm going to look it up, though.
A bearded guy said he's never had a Martina either. Sergeant Joe Smith said, I used to have a buddy here that owned a bar. He made my drinks doubles and only charged half price.
Okay, well, I might have to go back on paying attention to that, because what I'm reading really quick, right, is can cause a higher chance of more severe side effects like muscle pain. Okay, I already got that. Joint pain, already got that, although they're age related, right? Or even rhabdomyolysis. And I don't know what that is, but I guess basically it's because it won't allow you to absorb the medication or metabolize it as you're supposed to. So heart medication that doesn't do what it's supposed to, I guess that is a good idea not to take it then.
Yeah, if it doesn't do anything except it turns your medicine into water and ineffective, then I guess that's pretty useless.
Bearded guy likes pineapple and oranges. He's into that citrus. And Sergeant Joe Smith likes corn and beans.
Anybody have any idea of what a furanocoumarin is? Because that's the compound in grapefruit juice that makes you have to stop doing it. Furacoumarins.
I do not. How do you spell it?
Of coumarins. Phobia of blackboards. That's what it turns out to be.
Well, whatever it is, I can't spell it because what I spelled does not come up with any results.
Comes up on my thing as a fear of blackboards. So,
a specific group of secondary metabolites that commonly present in higher plants such as citrus. Okay.
Oh, citrus is like orange. That's one of my favorite smells. Like sprays or the spray scents and stuff. I like the citrus ones, orange.
I like them as a cleaner. And that's one of the reasons is it's natural, and then you get a citrus smell at the end instead of a obnoxious like solvent smell.
That's what.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
The only hand cleaner that really works well for me is the, oh God, what is it? It's citrus something, or Orange Fast, maybe is what it's called. Comes in an orange bottle. Hand
Yeah,
cleaner.
like the orange paste cream stuff. It's like
Yeah.
a big thing of toothpaste
Yeah.
or something. Out of water. Yeah.
That's the only one that for me, for some reason, does the best for taking oil or grease off my hands. Fast Orange.
Pretty much everything except for maybe spray foam.
Then if you get a smell like gasoline smell or oil smell on your hands, lemon juice. That'll get rid of that smell.
Speaking of getting, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think it strips all the oils off your hands, so it gets rid of the smell off your hands.
Yeah, I too have a preference for the orange scented things, and lemon, always I associate that with clean smells as well. The only time I really do not like the orange thing, and I haven't run into this in decades, was whatever the janitors used to like spread over kids who like the barf. When kids would barf in school, it was like that horrible orange stuff they put on top of it. So it was like orange barf smell. It's like a bad association, I guess.
Talking about bad associations, the only thing I've never gotten the citrus stuff to be able to clean off of my hands is the smell of the 9mm when I have to shoot it.
Can't wash your soul with citrus juice.
Right.
It smells like loneliness and depression.
Mm-hmm. Like desperation and apathy.
It smells like a Saturday night, and that's what we're doing right now. So.
I saw who was it? I was watching earlier.
Guar?
No. But Taurus, they were talking about Taurus, the TH45. And I like the TH series. I have the TH9. I mean, I really like that gun. And so Taurus just came out with the TH45, and they're going to come out with the TH10. So a 45 and a 10mm version.
Do anybody need that many Tori?
Oh, but they're they're going to be Sportsman Warehouse has them listed. They don't have them yet, but they have them, the listing for them at $439. So
well, I'll be in when they come up with the when they release the THX 1138. I'm looking forward to that one.
It's the best sounding gun out there. But who was it? I wanted to say who it was since I was watching their video. Now I forgot who it was. Ooh, hang on, Harry. He was. Yeah, no, I don't know why I'm blanking on it. I know this is riveting for everybody. LW Rhodes, that's who it was. I don't know if you guys have watched any of his stuff, but that's who I was watching. LW Rhodes has a couple videos on the TH45 and the TH10. Oh, what else is going on?
Anybody watch the Sound of Freedom movie?
I have not. I want to watch it. I haven't watched it yet.
What is it?
It's I think there's like going to be 4 of them. It's like the first movie about child trafficking. It's
Yeah,
like it's not a
Mel Gibson.
documentary, but it's somewhere between like just a regular old action movie and a movie that's based on a true story to create awareness of the concept and the fight.
Sergeant Joe Smith said he saw it last night.
I wasn't sure based on all the hype slash hate slash talk about it, what it was going to be and how so many people said it was such a good movie and what it was going to actually be like. So it was interesting. I won't there's nothing really to say. It's a movie, but yeah, I think they did a good job of making it a movie, but then also once you understand that it's real, it's one of those movies where at the end they'll show you like the actor morphs into the real person, like this is the person this is a real story and this is the person, and then they talk about the reality of it at the end. So that's powerful, I think, when you see a movie and then at the end it like equates it to the reality.
Yeah, I think I saw a post about it on Instagram, maybe, and I didn't know. I thought it was going to be like a documentary, the way everybody,
Yeah, I kind of thought so too.
Talking about it.
Just earlier this evening on A Great Start Shooting School Suicide Saturday, she made mention of an organization that I just dropped the link for about child trafficking. So interesting it came up.
I missed Brooks' chat about it earlier.
Sergeant Joe Smith said he saw Indiana Jones this afternoon and Transformers a couple days ago. I probably won't see the Indiana Jones. I don't know.
Is Harrison Ford in it?
Yes.
Okay.
It's all right.
Then that franchise hasn't completely gone to pot.
Well, it's the end of it. It's the terminal show or whatever, the final.
Well, there was a whole bunch that went on with that. A lot of reshoots because the screenings, the testing that they do, the audience hated the movie, so they would reshoot it. And
oh, really?
Yeah. So it's from what I've heard, it's a little bit choppy because they're just kind of throwing in sections to try and fix what was wrong with it.
I could totally understand that after seeing it. And I don't watch movies like sit down and just sit there paying attention to it 100%. So I got lost a few times. I could totally see why, if you're explaining it that way, why it was like that.
Yeah.
So if this is the last, sorry, but if this is the last one, didn't the first one come out in the early 80s? About 40 years now?
Yeah.
So they do a part. You remember how the first one is everybody's faces melting and the Nazis and shit?
Mm-hmm.
So they do a thing where they make him young and he runs around. And it's essentially, I can't remember if I don't want to spoil it, plus I can't remember if it was right before or after the first movie. But essentially, you know how in the first movie he goes to places and people have seen him before. It's like not his first time, being out and about. This is one of the other times he was out and about, like either getting the experience for the first movie or, soon after his experience from the first movie. But it's like computer generated young Indiana Jones with some other people and stuff. And then it's actually, it took me a while. I was like, how long is this? Like, is this whole movie going to be just a fake, like old Indiana Jones movie? And then, so it was like, felt like a third of the movie was old. And then am I breaking up? And then it, flash forward back to the future, or back to the 60s, I think is when the actual movie takes place, in the 1960s. So it starts with a flashback or something to the era of World War II when he's doing the first movie, and then it the majority of the movie is in when he's ending his career as a teacher, I think. So he's like an old Indiana Jones, but also, well, not the kid Indiana Jones from that one movie, but like a younger Indiana Jones from the first movie. And I'm probably making it sound way more lame that, they do it pretty well. I think people were complaining that his voice is the worst part. Like, he sounds like an old dude, but it really does look like, the first movie, essentially.
Yeah, the rumors, the original script, the chick who plays the sidekick, it was kind of set up where she would take over, and they were going to do a TV series where she would be kind of the new Indiana Jones. But everybody hated it so much that they killed it and started the reshoots. Again, I haven't seen it, but supposedly, kind of in the first draft, she was a lot more condescending to Indiana Jones. And Jason Ghost is out there. Good evening.
Like, I didn't watch any previews. I had no idea what was coming. So, like Sergeant Joe Smith is saying, that it took me a minute to figure out like my orientation of the movie. Also,
thank you, Iron Road. Let's get the banner going. There at the bottom of the screen, there's an email address and a link. You can send in comments, suggestions, or pictures within reason. There's a link in the description for the Gilded server. It's a place to kind of hang out, chit chat, share memes. You can get a hold of me there also. And if you watch this in replay, leave a comment. Anything we talk about, agree with, disagree with, let me know. I always read the comments and they are always appreciated.
brackets every Tuesday on Gilded. Not on his Gilded, but on some Gilded out there.
Sergeant Joe Smith said, it took me a bit to figure out what was going on and when it took place. The World War II era flashbacks and 60s for the modern day era. I'm torn from all the stuff that I've heard, the behind the scenes rumors and stuff, and I don't want to see it because I don't want to support what was going on, but the fanboy in me wants to see it. It's like the Star Wars. I hated the last Star Wars movies, but I went and saw them because I'm a dope. Yeah.
Well, they still have spaceships and robots and shit. So what are you going to do? Watch some other movie that doesn't have spaceships and robots?
Yeah, there's rumors that they want to retcon the Star Wars by using the veil of the Force.
What does that mean? What does redcon mean?
Go back and change, basically get rid of all the crap. So it would invalidate the movies by changing the way the story goes. If you saw the cartoon Star Wars Rebels, in there was the veil of the Force, which kind of, I don't know how to explain it, but it's kind of a time and space way to get through to different things, and they can possibly change what happened by using that as part of the story, kind of like the multiverse kind of stuff, which I don't know, I'm kind of tired of multiverse stuff, but I don't know, it's interesting to see because Disney is kind of starting to lose money on all these projects, and the investors are getting upset. There was at least one lawsuit that happened earlier in the year over Disney not looking out for the best interests of the investors, which, since they are publicly traded, you have to. And I don't know investment law, but kind of stuff going on with that. So, and the Indiana Jones isn't I don't know. It sounded like it wasn't going to make its money back, so it's kind of a big problem.
You would think that with, especially with movies that have a lot of special effects in them, that production costs would be down because more and more things are computer generated. You don't have to do location shooting anymore. You can just set it up to make it appear to be wherever it is that you would have usually been, sort of thing. I don't know. I don't pay enough attention to the movie business, so.
I don't know,
what
because
happens is the graphics stuff, the visual effects or whatever, they well, the way that it works, how the unions or whatever, the way that movies are structured, they'll say, we have 1,000 scenes in this movie that we got, or we got 100 scenes in this movie, and we're looking, you'll bid, and then the company will bid on that 1,000 scenes or whatever, and then they'll, so that means that it's whatever $1 million, it's $1,000 per scene or whatever, and then the director will go, oh, you know what? We changed it, and now we need this many. And then that's where those visual effects companies get thrashed. So they end up only hiring people, what's it called, like, per basis and temporary. So nobody can really do a career in visual effects. So everybody's temporary and living all over the place and living in countries. A lot of this stuff is just computer work. So they're living in countries where it's cheap to live. To try to stay, available for these companies that buy them, like on a contractor basis and stuff. So there's a couple of documentaries I've seen. I'm trying to summarize, but essentially the visual effect stuff has been, I don't know what the word is, but like they've been victims of the way that Hollywood takes advantage of them. So it is cheaper, but it suffers. So you'll end up with poor quality CGI, and then the movie suffers. So that's one of those. You can't rely too much on CGI unless you're like one of these companies like Pixar that owns their own development and everything. They can keep the quality where they want it. So it's not like a sure thing, like just go, put in a CGI robot and save a bunch of money. So a lot of times they make the real scenes or I don't know what that's called when they put, they do the real cars or whatever, real explosions, in order to, I don't know, they either value that. Yeah, the practical stuff. They either value that, or it's because they want, the kind of quality product that they can't rely on with digital always, or pay for digital. Anyway, I'm summarizing a bunch of stuff, but there are some interesting documentaries on the whole visual thing right now, or lately.
The big budget blockbuster type movies, there's some that they'll need to make $1 billion to break even. When you include everything, advertising and promotion and
cost of all the actors and shit like that.
Yeah. So that's why China has become a big market.
Well, it seems that movie studios don't make as many middle and certainly a hell of a lot fewer smaller films. So there's fewer ways for them to make their money back against the bigger box office draws. That's too bad. Same kind of thing has happened with record labels, though. So maybe it's like across the entertainment industry, hedging their bets, on the next big thing and reducing their rosters down, narrowing that so it's small that there's so little variety left. And if you have a flop, you might go broke.
I could really see there being a parallel in the corporate strategies between music and movies.
Well, they both live in a world where technology and trends and people's tastes and what people expect and what people value and want it changes really quick. You know, black and white movies, people still appreciated them in the 70s. We didn't watch them, but, you know, we'd appreciate and respect them. A 1950s, 30s black and white movie now, you know, what kind of value do people have on that now? Some people, but, you know, people in general, an old 1970s drama action movie, you know, 1980s, some fondness because some of us remember growing up with it. But, you know, as far as a kid who has everything available to them on the menu, are they going to value any of that old content? Same way we don't look at, what are those things called where you put a card in front of these like things and it would move in front of your face and it would look like 3D stereo something. Like there was those pictures on cards. Like that was the rage when our grandparents were littles or something. Like, you know, when you'd have to go to a arcade and pay a nickel to see some kind of moving picture. Like people own these stereoscope pictures of Paris or some desert or, you know, pyramids or something. And that was their entertainment. And, you know, we've seen those before, but today, maybe somebody would go, oh, that's interesting. Next, like, you know, next fact. I'm not, you know, they're not going to have much interest in that unless they're just an enthusiast. So that's where I'm guessing movies and music to some extent are victims of that.
Ron Wayne, I just say go back to Rankin and Bass technology.
Exactly.
That's like the Frosty the Snowman, the Jack Frost, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the
stop action.
Yeah. I would say yeah, with more frames. So it's not as choppy, but kind of if they did it more like the Nightmare Before Christmas.
How cool would watching like a Transformers movie and or like a Godzilla Mecha Godzilla / King Kong movie in stop action with little models versus whatever CGI that they're doing now. I think that might be cool as hell.
I would think so. I don't know.
Maybe not a whole movie, but watching a few scenes like that would be pretty neat.
Well, it might be for us because we actually, I mean, outside of Christmas specials, I don't think that most kids or even young adults, again, outside of those particular things, would be able to relate to it in a way that would make it enjoyable. It'd be like, what's with all this jump cut stuff? Like, is there a problem?
Yeah, it would be you would have to have an appreciation of the time invested, right, in the skill set and the artifacts of reality versus the polish of fake ass, right? You'd have to understand what you're looking at. Same way I think people watch live theater, not because it's better than a movie, but because it's happening, right? Like the fact that people are able to do the stuff in front of them is different than watching the perfect copy that, you know, got everything right and then was edited and polished and everything. You know, there's just a different, what's the word, like appreciation for it. You know, watching somebody carve something versus looking at the statue afterwards.
It's a different feel too. Midget with Carrot Cake is out there. It's like when you look at the digital film, you know, the high definition digital film versus 35 millimeter. It's a completely different feel. I prefer the older 35 millimeter. You know, you don't get the definition in the picture, but it kind of takes you out of, it's not like somebody standing in front of you. You know, you're kind of transported into that world a little more.
Yeah, you're not worrying about the wrinkles on the pants. You're worrying about what they're talking about, or you're worrying about the situation, not the every single detail or lack of.
Well, I think it also contributes to since we're talking about a combination of theater and in Foss's example, it's part of that we naturally will go into a willing suspension of disbelief because we recognize that it isn't reproducing itself as we might be seeing it. It is and it's kind of like what G was saying about black and white as well, after a fact, that kind of thing. And back to that black and white film thing for a minute. Outside of a couple of noir send-ups that have come out, has there been anything after Raging Bull that was intentionally done black and white? And that's like 1980.
Sin City. And
yeah, but that's trying to be a noir thing that's why I was kind of tossing that one out of my mind, but I'm glad you brought it back up. Yeah, go ahead. Anything else though?
Wait, is Sin City the one with the kid who's the weirdo, or is it the
Yeah.
one with the prostitutes on the roof, or is that the same movie?
It's the I'm not sure about prostitutes on the roof, but it's the weirdo kid.
There's like the group of prostitutes that run a city, and he has to drive in. I think it might be the same movie. But anyway,
I
I
don't-
think there's two
but-
movies that are black and white that I can. Or no, wait, the one is people walking around in their. Oh no, I am thinking of the same movie. I think.
well,
Oh,
that's
Clerks was
it's-
black and white. Nice, Clerks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Clerks was he didn't have money.
There's
Yeah,
budget,
but
but
also it was black and white though. So
and it wasn't intentional. Yeah, even if he had the money, it might have been an intentional choice. I hadn't thought
he-
about that one. That's
he
my favorite.
funded
I didn't
he
even-
funded the movie. He got with insurance money he got because his car got flooded, and he instead of buying another car, he used that and made a movie.
Oh, I thought he sold his comic books or something.
He might have done that too, but I don't know if it's on the extras for Clerks, but I know I saw him talking about that. Because him and Jay lived together, and there's supposed to be flooding, and he didn't feel like moving his car, and it ended up in the flood. So he took the insurance money from that to fund the movie.
I didn't know that he and Jason Mewes were roommates. Hmm.
Mitch with Carrot Cake said after shooting a Smith & Wesson Model 29, the ejector rod became loose and fell off after hand tightening it. The ejector is still loose. Would you send it back to Smith & Wesson? Maybe. I don't have experience with that problem, so I'm not sure.
See if the problem reproduces itself after, I mean, just hand tightening, I think is what that says, or you
Yeah.
said. I mean, that just might just need a little extra torque to sit in there, but I don't know about adding any like thread lock or anything else like that because you'd want to be able to reverse it out. But if like tightening it a little bit more than your fingers can get it done doesn't take care of it, I consider that for
Yeah,
sure.
you can also email them and then see what they have to say, or call them. It's like with my Bear Creek Arsenal, one of my uppers, the barrel extension was loose, so you could wiggle it and it would rattle, tink tink tink. And I called them, and the gal I was talking to kind of ran through the normal troubleshooting kind of questions, and I said, "No, here you can hear it," and I wiggled it. She goes, "I'll send you I'll send you a shipping label," and so maybe contact them and then ask them, see what they have to say about it.
We typed
What's
in
the warranty on? I don't know if that's a new firearm that they're mentioning or not, but does Smith & Wesson have a warranty, like a lifetime kind of thing going on?
I don't know what their warranty is.
So I typed in modern black and white movies. Eraserhead.
Yeah, that might, yeah, but like
Young
Lynch might have been.
Frankenstein. Young
Ooh, yep.
Frankenstein. Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid.
Mm.
American History X. I didn't
Wow,
even
I
realize
got that
that was
too.
black and white. Raging Bull.
Mm.
Black and white movie. Ed Wood. Pleasantville. I think that turns from black and white to whatever in the middle. Good Night and Good Luck about Murrow. The Notorious Betty Page. These are from like 2005. So there are some intentionally black and white movies still made. I think I'm scrolling through. Those are the ones. Oh, Schindler's List, 1993. Rumblefish. I didn't see that one, but I know that one I've heard of before. Anyway, so there are quite a few, it looks like. There's a list here of 123. Those are the ones that I've heard of out of it.
And man, I haven't thought of Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid since probably theatrical release. That's hilarious.
Or like
I
HBO. That was one of those movies they played a lot on HBO.
Your pajamas. I've got your pajamas. I was gonna say I have it, but I don't. I have. I was thinking of Murder by Death, which is it's completely different.
I wonder what kind of considerations there'd be these days for doing something intentionally in black and white, because I mean, not just the processing of the film itself, but what kind of technological and staffing considerations, crew considerations there would be for something that is essentially a dead form now.
Stinky has joined us. He woke up, came over here.
Live in Pantovision.
Super hot, so it was panting. There's proof that it's live. Can you hear that? Does the microphone pick that up? It's an ASMR for dogs at night.
Sergeant Joe Smith put out Much Ado About Nothing is not in black and white. Or no, sorry, I'm thinking of a different version. The one that I was thinking of is the one with Kenneth Branagh. Branagh.
What movie is this?
Much Ado About Nothing. It's a Shakespeare play.
Well, fellas, I got a scoot, but it was good hanging out. Glad to have another opportunity to do that. And everybody out there, be safe, have fun, carry your guns, and rock. I's gone.
Yeah, have fun, be good.
Thanks. Later on.
He doesn't like seeing a dog get a treat.
Oh, I don't know. What else do we want to talk about?
So I seen a movie, since we're talking about movies, I seen a movie, I think it's 2 years old, but it's about the influence of the military in Hollywood. You ever seen anything about this?
No.
So essentially, there's a place in California that is the military. It's like, I think the Army started it back in the day because of World War I or II or whatever, II probably. And then essentially to facilitate if a company or if a movie company wanted to use like a battleship or a piece of inventory from the military, they like facilitate that or authorize it or monitor that. So essentially the government has all this stuff, right? The aircraft carriers and jets. And if you want to make a movie with any of these things in them, you got to go through this department or whatever. So the guy who's in charge of that kind of turned it into somewhere between propaganda and I guess you'd say propaganda, where like if a movie wants to use some kind of equipment, then they can't make the military look bad, or they can't lay the blame on the military. So, they just want to make sure the military always looks good if people want to use their equipment. And this movie that I watched essentially is trying to say that that's CIA manipulation of everything that's ever happened in Hollywood, because the military has this like, what do you call it, gatekeeping for access to their toys. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. I never really thought about it, but there's like Top Gun and movies like that, and then there's movies like Platoon, and I forget what movie it was that they used as an example, but some movie was doing something that the military didn't like the topic, didn't like the portrayal of the military in the movie. So, what do you call it? The movie had to basically go to like the Philippines and paint a whole bunch of the wrong airplanes to look like, you know, the paint job of the correct airplanes and make
Yeah.
do with, you know, like the wrong equipment because the military wasn't going to help. But then you get like Top Gun or Transformers, or I forget the examples of, what do you call them, like either directors or producers, whoever the person is that makes the decisions. And you know, once those people had like good relationships with the military and are willing to play along, then all of a sudden, you know, they make these blockbuster movies with like, oh, I think it's Transformers, or no, maybe it's, no, I think it is Transformers. I think Transformers, the guy who made Transformers, had essentially like the newest technology in every Transformer movie. Like the first time we saw an F-35 was in Transformers. The first time we saw this was in a Transformers. The first time we saw this was in Transformers. And that goes back to this like relationship that they've had for a long time. And that might be the Top Gun guy. I don't remember. I don't keep track of all the different directors and stuff. But anyway, it's kind of interesting. Like I say, it was made by people who are super paranoid and want to say that because there's this, you know, uh, steps you have to go through to use military equipment, that means that the military is responsible for like the manipulation of everything that's ever happened in Hollywood. So interesting movie. And yeah, I'm assuming you haven't seen that.
No, I haven't. It sounds interesting.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Like I say, it had a, I think they were going a little beyond the reality of what they were scared of, but they were playing to the people who are scared of every time two things touch, you know, oh, it's manipulation.
Yeah, I view it more like advertising than manipulation.
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
like recruitment, right? They want
yeah,
people to be recruited. They want people to join. They don't want people to hate the army. So they're not going to let you use an aircraft carrier to make people hate the Navy. It just makes sense.
that's like the sporting events when they bring out a veteran to honor them. Any of the veteran stuff, that's all because the military asked them to do that. They're paying them to do that. It's not the clubs themselves that came up with it.
Oh, really? I didn't think
Yep.
about that. Yeah.
But again, you know, I don't.
Same with the flybys, probably.
Yeah,
They're doing it because it's a bit of a recruitment thing, right?
yeah. So I wouldn't consider it, them trying to brainwash people. Just, recruit, like you said, recruiting and advertising, and
I mean, I guess I'm not thinking of every example as like a 2 hour movie. So there might have been examples of essentially like they started out, I think started out right from the beginning, realizing that they don't want to pay for stuff that makes them look bad. So they'd
yeah,
say, oh, you want to use an airplane? Let me see your entire script. I don't want to see the scene where we use the airplane. I want to see the whole script, because if they're making fun of the Air Force the whole time and then you use one of our airplanes to do some trick, right? Like, no. So then they would get the script and then they'd return the script and go, make all these changes. And then, yeah, you can use our airplane. So, okay, is that manipulation of media, or is that somebody wants to use their airplane really bad and is willing to do anything to use that airplane? Like you can always just get some other airplane or just film around the airplane that you didn't get. If you really want the airplane that bad and you don't care about the script, then you change your script.
like using F5 Freedom Fighters because you don't have MiGs.
What movie is that?
Top Gun.
Oh. Well, they can't. They use the Army or the Air Force's stuff, but yeah, if they don't have MiGs to use, then they don't have MiGs to use it.
Vanessa Kitty's out there. And, not to get too Honda-ish, the CIA does have a history of using media to push ideas and stuff. And they even were involved in art, pushing like modern art to promote Western ideals, to show our superiority.
You mean art in other countries?
Yeah. Well, no, art. Well, pushing our art.
Oh, around. Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard of the CIA being responsible for some song back in the day. I don't even like it, but it was, you know what I mean? Like back in the 80s, it was some
Well, like
song.
Ballad of the Green Beret.
No, it was. Well, I can't think of it. Somebody out there, I'll think of it. It's not too bad. DJ booked out of here. But anyway, there was some song by a hair band. It's not the Final Countdown. Maybe it is the Final Countdown. But you know the Final Countdown song from
Yeah.
the 80s? It was something around there. But no, you know what it is? Gorky Park. What's that? Is that the name of the song? Gorky Park?
Oh, by
Really
Scorpions?
yeah. Something like I heard that the CIA was responsible for encouraging or creating that song or facilitating something like, here, put this song in it and then you can get the tour. But then, you know, the idea was to make it a subtle. Is that propaganda or is that whatever, you know, to somehow mess with the whole Soviet thing? You know, break down the wall. I guess I got a little dude who needs to go outside. He's freaking out, so I'll be back in a minute. I fed him before the show, and then he didn't do nothing, and now I'm getting the consequences of that. So I gotta act.
Ah. Sergeant Joe Smith was saying that they only used one F5 in Top Gun. Other scenes were mirrored. That's what, you know, I love Top Gun. Still do really like it. That's one thing that always bugged me, where the F5's in it. And I understood that there's sometimes you have to do what you have to do to make your movie, but to me it stands out that it's an F5. And let me go back a little bit. This Iron Road said he was thinking of changing his YouTube name to Disorderly Veteran. Sounds a bit much, in my opinion, but it made me chuckle. I don't know. Lots of people change their names. If you want to change your name, your branding, as some people say. Yeah, Sergeant Joe Smith is saying F5 or T-38. The trainers. But I did like I saw the new Top Gun 2, Electric Boogaloo. I liked it. It was fun. It wasn't a great movie. The ending was kind of where they steal the Tomcat to escape. But overall, it was a fun movie, I thought. Has anybody else seen it? But I've got a long list that goes back years of movies that I want to see, and I'll put them on the mental list to see it later, and then I'll forget about it. But that was one that I definitely wanted to see. And while there's a lull.
He was being paid by Barbecue to sabotage your show. He just stood there. He didn't do nothing else.
Did you see the new Top Gun?
See the what?
The new Top Gun movie?
Yeah, I was going to say before I went out there that I just listened to one of the guys that I listen to all the time as an interviewer. He just interviewed the people that taught Tom Cruise how to fly for the movie, or got him ready to fly for the movie, and then were the bad guys in the movie. and also filmed it from the helicopter.
What'd you think about it?
Back in the day, I was in Civil Air Patrol when Top Gun came out, so I was like way too into Top Gun. Not so much as a pilot, just because I liked that it was a airplane movie.
Yeah.
But the new one, I don't know. I didn't like it so much, but I'll probably watch it again now that I've seen like 2.5 hours of these guys farting around and talking about how experienced they are and what fun they had making it. I guess there's quite a bit you don't think about when they're making an airplane movie. Like the airplanes don't really fly next to each other so much. They have to fly what looks like next to each other in the camera. So there's a whole bunch of like flying in like weird formations and stuff that aren't kind of natural to the normal, normally what they would do to fly in formation. So, just kind of hearing a bunch of pilots BS together was kind of cool. Did you see it?
Yeah, I liked it. The ending I thought was kind of lame, and some of the pilots, the young pilots, were a little annoying, but overall I liked it. It was just kind of a fun movie, not pushing any agenda or any message. It's just, excitement and adrenaline and, something to have fun. Ron Wayne said, didn't see it yet. Did watch the scene with Val Kilmer online. I thought they did a good job with Kilmer with his limitations because of his cancer. But it was respectful to his character and was a good send off, I thought. Do Live Moo wants to know, G, do you still fly?
Oh no, I never. I was in Civil Air Patrol, but I was going into the Army, so I liked it for the rank. I got rank from it, and then just learning stuff. And then I was in Scouts and Civil Air Patrol had girls in it, so it was way better doing things with girls in it. And then you could get into in Civil Air Patrol, you could get into like different things. And our squadron, like with the group of people that I was with, were into radios really bad. So I learned a lot more about radios than I did about airplanes. I learned enough to need, whatever I needed to know. And then you could do orientation flights. You could do as many of those as you wanted. You just would have to sign up for it. And you could go to whatever airport had them. And as long as you could get to the airport and be there, they let you go as like just a fly on the wall. You could just be in airplanes that could facilitate it. So most of the time we flew in KC-135s, they're refuelers. So you'd leave an airport with a refueler and fly over 3-6 states over, and you'd park in the air, and then different fighter jets would come up and get gas out of you all day long, and you would just look out the window over the shoulder of the guy who's filling them up, and then in between, that guy who's running the boom has no interest in being out there with a bunch of kids, so he'll just leave and go hang out with the pilots up front. So they would just give us the back of the airplane to ourselves. So it was super fun looking out the sides of those airplanes as like a squadron or whatever. Fighters would come up, or sometimes other planes, but mostly fighters. And then they'd kind of park, they'd hang out there. So you could have like unlimited amount of picture opportunities, taking pictures of these planes in formation. They kind of all park behind the gas plane. And then each one comes up and gets gas by themselves. So, like I said, it's just super fun. That's mostly what we did. But you could also get in a C-130 and just go fly around. Sometimes they'd pick somebody up and drop them out, pick up a car, a tank or something and drop it off. But those were shorter flights, so they weren't as fun. And C-130s are really small. But anyhow, so I got to fly around that kind of stuff a bit because I'm down for doing anything that's free, right? And then you'd also get a chance to get to airports and just hang out, waiting to get on those planes. And then afterwards, once you were in there, you didn't care if you didn't get into trouble. You could do whatever you wanted. So I like being able to hang out in Civil Air Patrol. But as far as piloting, I didn't have any money and I didn't have no plane or nothing. So I knew some guys that were super rich and they would fly. And they had their pilot's license before getting out of high school. And I would go fly with them because they would have to fly to get hours. So they would just rent airplanes after school. And my one friend, I would drive him over to the airport. He would get in his airplane that he was renting or whatever. And we were like 16. And then we would fly around for a while, getting his hours up, and then land. So, go take pictures of something, go fly around, see how far we could get. Essentially go fly around the places we weren't allowed to go into, but fly all around the places we weren't allowed to go into. Do that kind of shit. But that's about as close as I got to flying. And I haven't. I know a guy with an airplane, and I keep asking him. I really, really, really want to get him to. And he was gonna do this almost when I was still doing videos a lot. But I really wanted to get in that airplane and go to California and fly the international border of Mexico all the way over to New Mexico and just film that. Get a aerial view of it and show people what it looks like. But I guess evidently that's a pain in the ass, and he never wanted to follow through with getting it all figured out. But anyway, that's my adventures in flying, other than flying to SHOT Show or shit like that once in a while. But Civil Air Patrol is responsible for search and rescue and perimeter. So, like, if there was a war, Civil Air Patrol would go fly, Coast Guard type of stuff, like, patrols. But they'll also look for downed aircraft. So where I lived when I was growing up, if a plane crashed, it crashed on a house. So you didn't have to go look for an airplane ever. Maybe in the middle of the lake, you'd have to go look for it. But out here in Arizona, like, Civil Air Patrol will literally do real, airplane goes down in the middle of nowhere. They need all hands on deck to go find it. And they'll do emergency location type of stuff, a lot of first aid. But it's mostly a lot of memorization and paperwork type of stuff to learn how to be in the Air Force, because the Air Force is like, 50% sitting at a desk and doing weird shit. So there's a lot of that, learning how to deal with forms. So going into the Army after Civil Air Patrol was like easy mode, because the amount of paperwork in the Army is like a third of the Air Force, and essentially the same amount of paperwork in Civil Air Patrol as there is in the Army. So it was a breeze doing Army stuff after that.
Tulay Mused, his dad is a private pilot. He was interested in Civil Air Patrol after he retired. He let his physical lapse and never renewed it. Carolina EDC Reviews is out there. Good evening. He just did a review of was it a Taurus 45 stainless? Really neat looking gun, I thought. And Moo, I sent you a link if you want to jump in.
So Civil Air Patrol is the Air Force auxiliary, and it is for kids to get ready for the Air Force or whatever. But it is also the Air Force auxiliary. So there's probably, I don't know what it is now, but I'd say at any time there could be just as many adults in it, and it's a shit ton of retired Air Force people. Because again, they are tasked with like search and rescue and some other real jobs. So people that want to stay doing stuff, stay active, stay in the mix, Civil Air Patrol is a valid way to do that. At the same time, you're mentoring, youngins, so it's pretty cool. At the same time, it's super boring. I wish they had a version for the Army. That would have been way better. But Army, you had to go to JROTC, and that was like work. Civil Air Patrol was kind of like scouts with girls.
I had a friend, Kevin. He was in ROTC and went to college, and he got there, and I think he did a year, and then they said, "Oh, sorry, we're not going to take anybody from your year."
Yep, that'll happen when you're trying to be an officer, because you're not guaranteed nothing. You're on a contract, and they may not want you the next year to year.
Yeah, that would.
And on a downsizing time, I think we're probably downsizing now. Like, you're screwed. Like, you're the first to leave. If you're a new officer, they don't need you.
Yeah. Yeah, he got his teaching degree eventually. He's a teacher now. But he was the reason I ended up over in Eastern Washington. He was going to school, Washington State University, and he told me, "Well, why don't you come out here? You're not doing anything anyways." So I moved out there, lived out there for I don't know how many years. Met my wife out there, then ended up back in the West Side.
So on your side of the state, it's sea level, I'm assuming, because I don't remember any giant cliffs that come out of the ocean there. Or if it isn't sea level, it's only a couple hundred feet above sea level. But then you got a giant mountain range and whatever.
Yeah.
Is that the Continental Divide, or is that just some other
No.
mountain range? So then you
Cascade.
got okay. So you got this
Cascade
giant
Range.
mountain range. Is the east side of Washington higher, or does it go back down to sea level?
Oh, I don't know. I've never looked that up.
Oh, okay, so it's not like Arizona. If you go up to Flagstaff, it's almost never hot up there because it's so high up in the air. So it's like we don't even think of Flagstaff as being the same as Phoenix and Tucson. It's not like Eastern Washington is different climate wise than your side.
Oh, it's a lot different.
Oh, okay.
Because all the weather comes in from the west, hits the Cascades, and will dump the rain on the western side.
Oh, okay.
So it's a lot drier. Yeah.
Oh, okay. The Continental Divide goes up into Montana. I've only been up there like 3 times, so I'm not really paying attention.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It might take a little digging because trying to look up elevations, it's giving me mountains, and that's not quite what I want.
Extremes.
But I don't know. Eastern Washington is nice because you've got 4 seasons. Western Washington, you pretty much have 3. But it's
just in winter.
Well, it's kind of spring and there is winter, but it's kind of more like a fall. It doesn't get real cold. It'll get down maybe around freezing, but not for very long. And then summers, 90s, we'll have a couple of weeks in 90s, maybe hit 100, but doesn't last that long. Eastern Washington, it's more like probably closer to like your weather where, I would walk home at 6, 7 in the morning and it'd be already over 70 degrees out.
Yeah.
And then winter, it'd be down in the teens, maybe get below, but usually around freezing. And it was when I lived there, you would get a couple feet of snow and it'd stick around for a while. Caroline ADC Review said it's hot and humid there right now in the Carolinas. Sorry, Joe Smith says Arkansas has 3: summer, winter, and rainy. Ron and Rain went to bed. Sergeant Joseph said, though this year has been real mild, only ran AC a few nights so far. That's last year we got a heat pump, and I love that heat pump. Since it doesn't get super hot, it'll get warm enough where you're kind of uncomfortable and you want AC, but it's not quite hot enough to really run the AC. But once we put the heat pump in and it's just on all the time, like it's nice. It's really nice. And it does a decent job at heating. It'll when it gets below 40, the furnace will still kick on to help supplement the heat, but glad that we decided to do it. When we bought the house, we wanted to do it, but we've got a gas furnace, which they're real efficient. So, we kind of debated, do we really need air conditioner for, the little bit of time that you need it? So we were running portable air conditioners, which did okay, but wasn't great.
Where you got the hose going in now?
Yeah. But yeah, glad we did it.
So is this a good time to ask the audience, so people that are watching right now, to throw topics out there?
Yep. Anybody has a topic they want to talk about, go ahead and let us know.
AR pistols. Is AR pistols still a thing in 2023?
I think yes. It's just nobody wants to talk about it. Which is kind of the way, it's what I tell people. Do what you want to do. Just keep your mouth shut.
Like, people dig the braces or whatever, but brace, it is what it is. But I don't know if I never really put one on. I like having an AR pistol without the brace because it was made maybe not ideal, but it made an adequate, rifle caliber, small firearm even less annoying, because you still got that receiver extension, which is annoying. Like an AK one is even better, but without putting anything on the receiver extension, it keeps it as low frills or like low bulk as possible. So I kind of like them without the brace.
Oh, I would prefer an SBR.
Yes.
The braces are a substitution, and and I don't like to make the argument just because it's the truth.
Yeah.
Most people use it as a substitution. There are legitimate uses for people who have disabilities, but that's not why most people buy them. But it's that's it's the wrong fight. We should be fighting the NFA.
Oh, I don't know about all that. I think you can do all of them. Like, you can fight the NFA from 6 different ways. You stick as many crowbars under the rock as you can. But I hear you. You also want to start chipping away at the rock or breaking the rock in half. But you can still get some crowbars under there to show that the rock shouldn't be here.
And
unless they're knocking each other out of the way, if they're hurting each other. But this one isn't. This is just creating momentum. It's not. It's halting something. At least I don't see it.
Yeah. I'm not upset that they're fighting it. I'm okay with it, just because I don't want to give the ATF anything. So, but the thing to fight really is the NFA in the long run.
Yeah, and I'd definitely like to see the fight for the braces be framed as this is an incremental step towards the bigger piece, so that there's no misunderstanding that this isn't the goal. This is just a step on the way to that bigger goal.
Yeah. Caroline ADC asked, anyone see the new Echelon pistol from Springfield Armory? Pretty much a Hellcat frame with a different style slide. I am not familiar with it.
Nope.
And Sergeant Joe Smith said he has an AR pistol in as a car gun and carries it sometimes. Yeah, I did a pistol because I knew I was going to put a can on it, so I wanted to keep the overall length short because it was purpose built. and that's why I had a brace, and would love to have a just a regular stock on it instead. But let me do this right there. GearWebsites.com for all your 2A related t-shirts, patches. He does web design, web consulting, technology consulting, you name it, he can consult you on it. GearWebsites.com. Oops. Let me get a link there for you. Yes. You have anything coming up? Are you doing a chat tomorrow?
No, probably not. I have to go do some stuff IRL, as they say, as the kids would say. I might have this dog just on for an hour panting.
There we go. So, no Wednesday chat because there are now Saturday chats for the time being. Next Saturday will be an overnight, and I haven't picked a topic yet. I don't know what we're going to talk about. But, yeah. Oh. Other than that, I feel like I'm leaving something. I'm forgetting something.
The banner?
Well, I turned it off.
How about a Gizzard Gary promo?
Well, how about this one? It's a little outdated. I made that one, and then the next day he announced when he was shutting down the Sunday chats. So I never got to use it. Well, I don't know. So, I don't know. Go find somebody new to watch. Well, I mean, don't stop watching me, this chat, but...
You're talking about on Wednesdays?
Well, just overall, expand your knowledge. See if you can find something new that's interesting.
What's the last new channel you found?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Let me look at my list.
I use my YouTube history list all the time. I mean, I also go through and I delete stuff out of there so that I can use it more easily.
I've started kind of doing that. Guys that, I was on chats with them and sub to them, but I don't watch any of their stuff.
I don't know what was doing. I was doing something and I went to find, you know who Fairbairn is? What's his name? William Fairbairn. He's the guy that was the fighting guy from the OSS.
Oh yeah,
in the CIA, and he made that knife, that dagger. So I was watching something, and then I went. Something came. I can't remember what came up that made me start the rabbit hole or whatever. But then I thought this guy would. Oh, you know what it was? Carbine Williams. I was looking at Carbine Williams, and I haven't seen the movie yet. and they want me to pay $2 to watch the movie, and it just rubs me the wrong way to pay $2 to watch a movie because I keep trying to find a free way to watch it. So somewhere around, I was looking for movies of Carbine Williams, and maybe wonder if this Fairbairn guy has a movie, because he seems like there should be a movie made of this guy. He's had an exciting life, or Sykes, right, or some of the other people from that era. But there aren't. But I did find, I could think of 40-minute video. So that channel that did the 40-minute video is a hand-to-hand kind of channel. Like, they talk about different kinds of hand-to-hand fighting and stuff. So I'm not going to watch everything on that channel, but I did favorite it or whatever, subscribe to kind of see how often they post and what kind of stuff they post. But watching their review of this guy's style, or their summary, I guess, of this guy's style was pretty interesting. Just a quick way to summarize. He's written like 6 books, the gist of his 6 books in like a 9-minute video.
I think looks like maybe the last channel I subbed to was Arizona Ghostwriters. We'll watch watch their videos now and again, and I thought, well, shit, I like it. Oh no, Ben's Works. That's the last one. He kind of does projects, a lot of resin art and stuff.
Oh, WRX.
WRX.
WORX.
On this week's episode, we're using
yeah, that's him.
Okay. Oh shit! Yeah, when people take PVC pipe and cut a slice in it and then put it in the toaster oven, turn it into a sheet of plastic, and then start making projects out of it, I'm all about that.
But I think that's the last channel that I've subbed to.
Yeah, I'd like to do a channel like this. I'd have to get better at video editing and then organize my time better. But I think this would be a cool channel to do.
I tried to do a channel like that, but I can't do 2 channels.
348,000 subs. He's doing it right.
Yeah.
With 300 videos. Holy moly.
Yeah, he's got all the good equipment. Like when he does his resin pours, he's got a vacuum chamber to get all the bubbles out. And he's got a lathe so he can turn stuff.
So a long time ago, I bought a vacuum chamber at an auction for like $1. So I can, as long as it's not too big, I can put stuff. Oh, and then a vacuum pump doesn't cost nothing. You get those for air conditioning jobs all the time. So I bought a vacuum pump a long time ago, at least for doing AC work. So you hook that up to the vacuum chamber, though, which is just essentially like 2 bowls stuck together with a little valve thing, so you can stuck a hose on it easy.
Yeah.
And the top part is clear. But anyway, I can debubble either the rubber when I'm making the mold or the plastic when I'm, got the part in there. But it's easier said than done. Most of the time, I just don't bother because what I'm doing doesn't matter that much.
I've thought about it, trying to get one, maybe a used one off eBay. Right now, when I pour resin, I'll just vibrate the table.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then the torch or something to get rid of any bubbles up. And then that's about all you need most of the time. I can understand it for the mold, because if you got a bubble in the mold, that can be annoying and worse. But for all the effort it was worth to pull the vacuum on the rubber, it wasn't worth it. Like, I don't get bubbles that often that it's worth it all the time.
Yeah, and I think Ben, he'll leave them in there for like days under vacuum.
Oh, that's interesting. It's probably a factor of knowing that that's a good strategy, but then also being busy or whatever. And it's like, oh, I'll just leave it in there for 3 days till I can get back at it. I'm always too antsy. I've got 2 hours, 3 days to work on this project, so I want it done. I'm not going to sit there letting it cure for 3 days. Like, I had to paint something the other day, and I'm like, I'm not going to let this thing dry for 24 hours. As soon as it wasn't tacky anymore, I'm touching it.
Yeah.
It's not ideal, but it's just for me.
Yeah, I did kind of a disc that's probably, God, was it, is it 12 inch? 8 inch. I think 8 inches across and maybe an inch thick, which is more than I probably should have poured it. I did it in 2 pours, but I ended up with a soft spots where you push on it and it was squishy. So I thought, well, I'll just scrape off that soft spot and then re-pour over the top of it. And scraped it, realized like half of it was soft. I guess I didn't mix it well enough, so it just never cured. And if it's not mixed, it will not cure. It'll always stay soft. Oh, all righty. Well, hope everybody has a good rest of the night, and I appreciate everybody hanging out with us, those that were out in the live chat and those who were maybe watching and didn't say anything. I appreciate you too. Don't be afraid to say hi. Let us know that you're out there. And again, if you watch this in replay, leave a comment. They're always appreciated. I always read them. And hope everybody has a good rest of the night and a good tomorrow.